Good evening. I'd like to call the October 16, 2017 council meeting to order. Please stand for the invocation and then the Pledge of Allegiance follow. Bobby, are you here? Thank you.
Father God, we just want to come to you today and just say thank you. Thank you, God, for all of our many blessings. We thank you for life itself. We thank you, God, for a reasonable portion of health and strength. God, I thank you for these council persons who are here. Continue to watch over them. Continue to give them the wisdom they need. Be with their families. Be with their loved ones. Lord, we pray for our citizens of our community. Be with them and watch over them. God, we pray for the persons who are present here this evening, Lord, to take care of the business of our city. Be with them and help us all to come to some conclusion that we can be agreeable. We ask you, as always, God, to please be with all of our staff that works for our city. We pray for our mayor. We pray for all of our persons who work for the city. We pray for our first responders. Be with them and watch over them and their families. God, continue to keep our city protected. Continue to watch over us. And Lord, we also, God, we just thank you for everything that you do for us. God, we ask you to continue to protect our persons overseas, protect all of our military. We ask you to watch over them and keep them in your care. God, we pray for all our senators, our congressmen also. We pray for our president. God, we know that in the end, it all belongs to you, and you are in control. So, God, no matter what man does, we trust you above all. So, God, we ask you to continue to watch over us and keep us. We ask in the name of Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bobby. Have a roll call, please.
Yes. Councilperson White.
Present.
Councilperson Sestovny.
Here.
Councilperson Yon.
Present.
Councilperson Maples.
Here.
Councilperson Hawkins.
Here.
Council President Gill.
Here.
Councilperson Owen.
Here.
Councilperson Ellis.
Here.
Councilperson Samuel. Let the record reflect all 9 members are present.
All right, thank you. We have minutes to be approved. We will start with the September 18, 2017 budget meeting that we had that was tabled.
Preston, are you okay with the amended minutes? I'll make a motion to approve the September 18 minutes.
Okay.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to approve September 18, 2017 budget minutes. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll move on to our October 2nd regular council proceedings of 2017.
No, I'm sorry, you have October 2nd budget workshop first. And then the next one in your packet is the October 7th.
Can I have a motion for the October 2nd budget workshop?
So moved.
Second?
Got a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, both Scott and Scotty will be abstaining. So we will move on to the regular proceedings of October 2nd, 2017. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second?
We got a motion and a second to approve the October 2nd, 2017 minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Abstain.
Motion carries. Can I have approval of the agenda, please?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. Claims, the general. I did go in, but I didn't have a chance to talk to you today because you're a busy lady.
Sorry.
There was some notes made. I will allow some, but I'm sure Peggy talked with you.
Yeah, I had 2 comments. There were 2 claims on page 7 to Nate Regal that did not have detail to them, the $20.69 and the $15.25. We were going to hold that check until, if approved by you all, until we get detail on that. And then also the account number changed for under the safety for Amir. That one should be under the business meals because it was a local training that he went to.
We also had an adjustment that concerned mileage.
That was in parks.
Oh, sorry. So the total stays the same, and you will make sure that all that is verified?
Yes.
And then will you just send me a courtesy text or
Yes.
whatever, let me know that you did get all of that? Okay, perfect, thank you. So I'll take a motion to approve. There's not any further questions for Heather.
So moved.
For a lot of claims.
Second?
I got a motion and a second to pass the general claims for $643,813.26. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
And then in parks, on the first page, close to the bottom for $33.83, that was for mileage. That one needs to be adjusted to $28.73. It's a difference of $5.10. So the new total on that one is $46,106, sorry,
Okay, travel mileage, which one was
the
it?
$33.83 needs to be $28.73.
Oh, this is already on here. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's on the one
Is that
percent.
just like tax or something?
Huh?
It doesn't matter. I
Yeah.
was just asking if there's like difference of taxes or something.
Difference of mileage
Yes.
Oh,
lengths.
calculation. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the new total?
$46,166.28.
I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second to pass the amended claims of the parks to $46,166.28. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Report of the clerk.
None.
Okay, then we will move on to unfinished business, which is Les and Heather, the 2017 OR 68 ordinance for appropriation and tax rate, which was passed on the first reading.
I don't have those numbers adjusted yet for
Have it in my packet.
your meeting, but I will, or the meeting that we had earlier. So I'm not sure if you want to table
You
that
want us
till
to-
later on in the meeting.
Council, what is your recommendation? You want to table it to move it to later on?
So moved.
Second?
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. I had to do that because we didn't make any difference in the agenda. So we've got Kim, 2017 OR 69, ordinance amending the salary of appointed officers and employees.
There are no changes from the October 2nd meeting, so it stands as presented on October the 2nd. Do you want to go through that again line by line, or you good?
No.
I think we're good.
Motion to approve on second and third.
You sure?
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 69 in the second and third and final reading. All those, any question or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Heather, the 2017 OR 71, an ordinance transferring certain funds within the same department did pass in the first and second.
There's no changes from the last meeting.
I'll entertain a motion to pass in the third and final.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 71 and third and final. Any further discussion?
Yes, real quick. The top line item there is coming from police pension to vehicles. That was what I was talking about during the budget.
Yes.
Is there a similar surplus of funds in the fire pension?
They've already transferred theirs to like the HSA or those
Okay.
other ones. Yeah, you addressed all
All right,
that
thank you.
earlier on in the year.
Thank you. Yeah.
Any other further comment? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Now, Heather, we have an ordinance addition appropriation 2017 OR 72.
That one has not changed.
Is that, it's not marked, that was only passed on the first, correct?
70 what? Oh, I skipped one. Sorry.
Don't know.
Yes. it was.
Okay. That was only passed on the first. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Heather? If not, I'll open up public hearing.
What was the 260, did we decide that was going to the sidewalk fund?
Yes,
Okay. And that's the unappropriated edit
yes,
hours for the year?
yes.
Okay.
No further question, I'm going to go ahead and open up, okay. I'm going to officially open up the public hearing. Is there anybody here to speak for or against additional appropriation of 2017 OR 72? Okay, crossed out. Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I'm officially closed. And if there's no further questions from council, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve 2017 OR 72 on the second and third reading.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 72 in the second, third, and final reading. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. We have Heather said 2017 OR 73. It's the ordinance of additional appropriation. It is a public hearing tonight, and it did pass in the first and second. Is there any
This
anything
one,
change?
yes, this one did change. You all made a motion to change it to the 1.28 million from the last meeting.
Yes, and that's reflected
Yes.
on it. Yes. If nobody has any question, I'm going to officially open up the public hearing. Is there anybody here that wishes to speak for or against additional appropriation for 2017 OR 73, which is the general fund, the council transfer out of $1,280,000?
This is Spring Street.
Yes.
Yes, so this is design for the entire project and then completion of the first phase of the project in the Claysburg area.
Keep in mind, public hearing is still open,
Oh,
so
I'm sorry, I thought you hadn't opened it yet.
okay, seeing none, then I will officially close. Now I will entertain a motion or any further comment or questions.
Motion to approve 17 OR 73 on the final?
Second?
Got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 73 on the third and final reading. No further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'll run upstairs and finish that.
Go right ahead. Thank you. We are moving on to new business, which I think we have Alan Applegate representing. It is, we will have a public hearing on this. It's the petition to vacate a certain plat easements on that portion of Jeffersonville Town Center, Section 1, Jeffersonville, Park County, Indiana. Good evening, Alan.
Good evening. Alan Applegate on behalf of applicants Cutter 5 Star, Jeffersonville Town Center, and Jake Commercial Properties. They're all affiliated businesses of Cutter. This is Jeff Town Center. I think that you all recall approving a PUD a couple of months ago to allow the movement and new development of the area. After that was approved, they hired our office, and we're kind of doing cleanup stuff. This is a petition to vacate pieces of easements shown in the original plat filed 10 years ago. That with the PUD, that plat will not be developed in accordance with that plat. I have John Walling with Cutter with me tonight, Steve Marshall, to answer any questions you might have also. I think the petition's pretty straightforward. The exhibits are a little crazy. There were a lot of easements in the original plat. The easements that we're seeking to be vacated are not, they don't have utilities in them. And what we're seeking the vacation of are those portions of easements that don't currently have utilities in them. So there's lots of utilities out there, but the cross-hatched area is shown, I believe, in a representative drawing. It's pieces of easements, if you will, and that should be attached to your petition. Drawing looks like.
Does anybody have any questions or comments before I open up to public hearing? Seeing none, this time I want to officially open up the public hearing on this petition to vacate the certain platted easements in the portion of Jeffersonville Town Center. Anybody wish to speak for or against this, please come forward, speak your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing none, I officially close the public hearing.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Well, actually, I think Scotty Maples, well, you did speak up first, I did. Okay.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to pass 2017 OR 74. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Applegate.
Mr. Applegate, while you're here though, is there any update on anything going on out there? I mean, I see a little bit of, since you're here, take advantage of the situation. I mean, it seems like you're doing some work out. I didn't know if there's anything you could say publicly of anything
Well,
going on.
we're challenged.
I get asked about it all the time, so.
Yeah, I do too, trust me. We're moving dirt from one side to the other side. No, the good news is, well, let me back up and say, the answer that you've gotten for years is that I can't give you a name, and I still can't. What I can tell you is that in March, we're going vertical with the project that a year from now, we're going to ask the mayor to cut the ribbon and open the very first 50-some-odd thousand square foot anchor store that will be literally, I mean, it is what it is. It's an anchor for a lot of other development. We're very excited, and we're very, very close to being able to make an announcement. I wish I could do it. It would be my privilege and honor, but I think I know of some other guys that would prefer to have that privilege.
Just to clarify, you said in a year from now you expect to be in construction, or
No, a year from now, we're gonna open a brand-new store.
it'll be, okay, all right.
Bricks and mortar, lots of retail, lots of development, lots of traffic. And along with that, it's a co-tenancy thing. This store will open Pandora's box, if you will, and bring all the other stores that are queued up. We're almost there. Literally, we are almost there.
Thank you.
Good thing.
Thank you.
Sleeping better these days. All right. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Is any of them have the initials PF in front of it?
I'm sorry?
Any of
That's an anchor.
Any of the restaurants have PF in the front of it?
Well, actually, right now, we're not announcing any hospitality businesses. Everything we're doing is basically retail. The hospitality is a whole nother aspect of this that will develop. The retail component will bring all the others in.
Okay.
But they're all queued up.
Nathan's
It's a
gonna
long
keep on.
and
Thank you.
very
Thank you, Sean.
interesting line. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, Lisa.
Okay, next we have Peggy. We were doing a presentation on City Pride and the Court Avenue median projects. Welcome, and thank you for all City Pride does.
Thank you. Okay, we have to get this going right. There are buttons to be pushed. Okay, thank you. Good evening. She said, I'm Peggy Haggerty Duffy, and I am co-chair of Jeffersonville City Pride. I spoke with y'all a month ago or so talking about our updates. This is a project, did anybody drive through downtown today? Did you notice the road kind of torn up? Well, we're going to talk about that. If you don't, I don't know who knows and who doesn't, because a lot of people do. City Pride has been responsible for the Court Avenue medians since actually before there was a City Pride. There were several members that, before City Pride was even formed, adopted portions of those medians in 2003, and we have been taking care of them ever since. Now, you see behind you the pictures that show some of the existing conditions. We have thought through some evolution of those medians as we have been taking care of them. They were built in 1987. I know none of us here were born yet then, so we're going to all say, you know, how old, and they're historic and they're lovely. However, they do have a number of problems. And let's hope I don't break anything when I touch this here. Okay. We have a number of problems. One of the things, I'm sure you've heard the legends, everybody talks about it, there are tracks underneath that road, and when this was built, in order to save money, these medians were constructed immediately on top of the tracks and on top of the road. What that means is that when you see the end of the median and you see those little planting areas, that is as much soil as there. There is no depth below that. So every summer we fight, in August and early September, we fight plants just baking. And to let you know the extent that we've gone to, there were two of us that traveled last year at our own expense to a national conference to talk to a number of suppliers across the country to try and find some ideas on plants that could survive in these conditions. We've gone through trial after trial after trial, and nothing has worked. In addition, the trees, I think everyone probably is aware of the issue of the Bradford pear, and that's what those are. And we spent a lot of time picking up dead limbs on Court Avenue. You may have picked up one yourself on the way home some night, but we spent a lot of time. They're really at the end of their lifespan. They're not going to last much longer. They have a ton of problems. The pavers are a huge problem. They were great for what they were originally used for, but now the problem is that not only if you get one vehicle that crashes into them, we lose a bunch of the pavers, they're deteriorated, they weren't real high quality to begin with. They also have 1,000 little cracks and crevices. So every wind-borne spore that travels through the air in June through September puts a weed in those little cracks and crevices. They are almost impossible to keep up with. And we have people on them every week. And it's very frustrating. Our utilities were kind of done after the fact. So we have 2 sets of irrigation. The water lines, we have one water line that's been leaking for 6 years. Poor Tony Decker, he is the one that gets the calls every week that says, the water is off on this island. The water is broken on this island. This needs to be fixed. It's all a hodgepodge. The electric is the same way. We have a poor planting environment, meaning that we've got a lot of shade in a couple of spots, we got a lot of sun in some other spots. We don't really have anything consistent there as far as the base planting that was done, so we fight with that as well. Let's face it, at this point we have unattractive aesthetics. This is the main drag, right off 65 at exit 0. We have new bridges, we have a new walking bridge, we have all these fabulous things in downtown, yet when you get off the interstate right there, this is what you see. Frankly, for us, it is extremely frustrating because we work really, really hard on those islands. 3 times a year, we replant them with new annuals. We're constantly doing mulching and weeding, and yet it looks like we do nothing. And we're as aware of that as anyone else. It's truly a sore spot for somebody to call and say, how come you haven't done anything in front of Warder Park? How come you... We did. We were out there 3 days this week. And now, I think I've mentioned to you this before, City Pride has a lot of aging volunteers. So, when we have people who are working in the 95-degree heat in their 80s trying to pull out weeds that keep coming and coming and coming, it's just a bad situation. So I'm going to save this last little item to the last because we identified all of these things last fall. And we actually approached the mayor and said, we need to do something with these medians. We really feel like it's a total reconstruct. We got to figure out the best way to do this. It's got to fit in with all the other projects and programs that are going on in downtown. And obviously there's the issue of funding. So the mayor said, no, actually I want City Pride to lead this effort, but you know who else to pull in. So we talked in the beginning with engineering, with parks, with planning and zoning, et cetera, et cetera. And we all agreed that we would wait until the Spring Street planning project was complete before we did anything. So we got all that done, and at the end of the summer this year, we said, okay, it's a time. So we called a meeting, and in that meeting was wastewater, because we knew from the plans that there was a sewer immediately under 2 of those blocks that are covered by the islands. What we didn't know that we learned in that meeting was that sewer was on the verge of collapse. It is full of roots. It is a mess. If you can see, if you're really into it, and I'm an engineer, I'm something of a nerd, and yet I didn't even want to see the camera footage. But if you really want to, you can. It's in really bad shape. It does have to be replaced. There is no other economical or feasible option from a system standpoint of replacing that or fixing that sewer other than demolishing those medians, getting down into it, and replacing the sewer. The sewer sits about 7 feet below grade. So, this is a big excavation. The medians have to come out. So when that was stated in that meeting, we said, okay, well, this kind of makes us rethink things a little bit in terms of sequencing, in terms of money, in terms of responsibility. So we made sure that we said, okay, we got to go into planning. We're just going to have to figure out how we're going to do this schedule-wise. We did have a few other considerations. One of them is high speed on Court Avenue. So there were several ideas that were thrown around about extending the islands, about eliminating some of those intermediate turn areas. We threw all those out. We know we need to have medians. I mean, if you stand down there, we take our lives in our hands. Ask the guys that were working down there this morning. They told us this morning, they said, we started working out here yesterday morning. People don't care. People are flying through here, and it's true. I had a lady almost kill me one time when I was out working there. She drove about this close to me, and where I was squashed. Also, the final piece of this was a department I haven't even mentioned, which is redevelopment. As you know, you all have all heard about this, been involved in this. We have the new Arts and Cultural District. And part of that is part of the problem that we deal with all the time is City Pride in helping people find their way around downtown, in discussing the aesthetics, is nobody wants to cross Court Avenue. Everybody gets there and says, it is frightening on the other side of Court Avenue, plus I'm going to get squashed. So engineering already has approved a couple of projects in which there will be some restriping, some new crosswalks, things like that, some what they call pedestrian refuges in the middle of the street, so people feel a little bit more comfortable crossing the street. But we also wanted to make it look more aesthetically inviting, so it didn't feel like such a divide, and so that everybody who's working so hard in the Arts and Cultural District can say, yes, people will actually come over here, and we'll have more of a transition. So with those things in mind, we came up with a bunch of recommendations. The first thing that we said was enough of this, the pavers, all of these spaces, places where we can have weeds decide to grow, they can grow someplace else. We need a cast or poured surface so that it is much lower maintenance, but it still looks good. If you'll notice the picture on the right, those are the new islands that are on Veterans Parkway. We have one of the, it was a big bonus for us, big help, because we were able to kind of hone our costs better because they just finished this project. And these, they look nice. They will be, you won't have all of the same issues as far as materials crumbling, so on and so forth. If you look on the picture on the left, that's in Chicago on Michigan Avenue, and they do much the same thing there. And you will notice they tend to look cleaner and neater. Obviously, we said we're going to reconstruct the irrigation and the electric so they actually work. That would be a nice change. And we, instead of going to all these places that have the planting areas, like, you know, you see the areas underneath the trees, we would have raised planters. Now, what they'll do is you're going to have these little islands on the islands of crazy color. Okay, here is where we're really going to have the great visuals. But in between, it's not going to look sloppy or messy. And that's the idea. As we were talking to planning and zoning, they mentioned that they had already discussed the idea of moving trees to the side of Court Avenue, looking for some areas for some tree pockets on either side of Court Avenue instead of actually having the trees down the middle of the street. Engineering and wastewater love this idea because we like to tease them because we say they hate trees. They really don't hate trees. But trees create a lot of maintenance issues with regard to catch basins, with the sewers, so on and so forth. And they make a lot more sense to actually have them on the side of the road rather than down the middle. We'll still have the planters, we'll still have the color, we'll still have the greenery, but we'll have it in a more manageable setting. You can't have such a wide street like that and have this median and not have some kind of vertical element. So we intend to achieve that with period lighting. And period lighting is not just lighting, as y'all know. We can, with the lighting, we can do hanging baskets and we can also do banners. This is an example of a simple light. This is the stripped down version. This is what we could put out there, and this would just be right down the middle of the road. There's not a lot to it. What we would prefer is something along these lines. You can see the banners there. As you can imagine, if you can just envision down the middle of Court Avenue, a bunch of great banners. We can switch them out with seasons. We can do all sorts of things. Combined with the color in the planters, it's really going to make a statement. Now, the picture on the right, we've gone through weeks and weeks and weeks worth of analysis of having how much light is actually needed out there. We had a professional do a study showing us where light is needed, how much, so on and so forth. There's talk of foot candles and heights and all sorts of other things. Based on all of that, based on our historical setting in downtown, based on a number of other factors, the lights on the right are closest to the ones that we feel would be most appropriate on Court Avenue. Now, those don't have the banner arms and the hanging baskets, but ours would. This is a drawing of that actual selected feature. This isn't finalized, but right now this is the best candidate to do everything we need in terms of safety, traffic, and providing color.
It's LED?
Pardon me?
Are they LED?
Absolutely. And that makes a huge difference with all of the systems. The planters, and we've had a lot of conversations about what planters are best and what I've had several people give me, well, how about if we had these, and how about if we had these? There are a lot of planters that will work in Arizona that will not work here, because our planters have to be able to withstand the freezing temperatures. It doesn't matter how much you drain them, they will still have some moisture locked in, and they're still going to be exposed to moisture. So it has to be something that can withstand what happens when that moisture freezes in the winter. We also, and this is a big thing that we deal with all the time, we've had a lot of conversations about the way these islands right now are laid out and where the height is with the plants. We deal with people who say, well, I have problems turning left because I can't see through this spot or this spot. So the intent is to pull those higher elements back off the ends of the island so that we don't have those issues. If you will look on the left, once again, this is in Chicago on Michigan Avenue, and you can see that with all of their elements, they've kept the much higher elements towards the middle of the block, but even the lower planters, they've pulled them back from the edge of the island. And our intent is to have a lot of color. Because these are relatively narrow islands, we're looking at oblong planters, so we get the most space, and we can stretch it as far as we can. Now, here's, we all want to talk about the bottom line. These are all estimated costs. Wastewater is doing the demolition, and as you know, wastewater is required to restore elements that they demolish in the course of putting in new sewers. So we are working on, we had originally figured out costs for replacement, and since then there are other elements that have been brought in, so we're refiguring how much that cost actually is. But I've written down here wastewater to indicate something that they are covering. Construction of curb, because they're demolishing curb. Demolition of medians from Pearl to Spring is about $7,000. Now that cost is an internal cost, so it includes internal labor as well as disposal. And that, again, it's just an estimate. A lot of it depends on how long that's going to take. Irrigation is about $10,000. Concrete, and if you looked at what I was showing you, and that's a cast concrete with a textured surface, we've got a number in there based on the volume. The construction of the curb from Pearl to Spring, again, does not have a sewer under it, so we can't say that that's part of the sewer project. Planters, and then the lights installed, and we've got a range there, and that's based on how many bells and whistles we want on it. We spoke with redevelopment a couple of weeks ago, and redevelopment has committed to $200,000 to cover primarily, and Councilperson Owen was there, to the lighting, planters, things like that. So what we're here to ask tonight, City Pride is at the end of our budget. Unfortunately, we did not have a fundraiser this year because the city now has another function that overlaps with our fundraiser. So we've lost most of our attendees and our sponsors because they're at the same time. So we are planning a new fundraiser in the spring, but it won't be until in the spring. So we just finished paying for our autumn annuals. We still have to pay for a few holiday decorations, but we're getting to the end of our budget and scraping the bottom of the barrel. So what we would like to ask for is $5,000 from City Council to help us with the demolition cost for the block between Pearl and Spring. And this truly should be the last piece of this. Obviously, some of these costs, we've estimated them. We don't know demolition until we really get into it. The lighting costs, we feel pretty strongly about. We've confirmed those numbers. Most of the concrete numbers, we're not going to get way outside that. Demolition is kind of our wild card right now, but $5,000, I think would sew this up.
And I did check with finance, we've got in our special projects, if that's so choose.
So, where is the rest of the funding coming from?
Most of the fund, we've got a small amount that's coming out of the city pride budget. We have portions that are coming out of wastewater, and those are for the demolition and for the reconstruction, and then the rest of it's coming from redevelopment.
And redevelopment committed to 200,000?
200,000, correct.
Am I missing? I mean, we're looking at like 260 or 270,000, right?
Correct. And since we were in the redevelopment meeting with you, that's what I said, we went back and looked at the replacement costs, and we had not included a number of items in there that were actually going to be demolished by wastewater and then therefore would be required to be replaced.
Have you coordinated this with Nathan Pruitt, the planning department?
Nathan has been in on this from the beginning.
Oh.
In fact, Nathan and Chad were the ones that had said they had, as their part of their budget, the money to be able to start planting those trees on either side of Court Avenue. That was their idea. We had a meeting in the beginning of August, I want to say, and Nathan and Chad were both part of that meeting and were in agreement with our plan moving forward. The only thing that changed since that initial meeting was we were not aware of the true condition of the sewer at that time. So the actual demolition and project got moved up quite a bit, which meant that we've been scrambling to finalize plans.
Who did the design?
We're still completing the design. City engineering is actually doing the plans.
Andy,
Andy Crouch.
and I confirmed that.
He needs to get with Nathan on that to make sure it matches the Spring Street plan.
I'm sorry?
He needs to get with Nathan on that to make sure it matches what we're doing with the Spring Street plan.
And we discussed all of that in the initial meeting, and none of these elements were out of line with the Spring Street plan.
Well, maybe that initial meeting, but it hasn't been fully updated. I mean, it's not, planning department's not fully updated on this.
Okay, and I will double check with him. I know that the city engineer had a lengthy meeting with Nathan Pruitt last week and described to him the elements where we are right now.
Right, because we were made aware that something was getting ready to happen in a week, and he didn't know about it. That's why that meeting happened.
Okay. Fortunately, I mean, we're truly talking about a cast surface, planters, and lights. So it's not like a really intricate design where we can say we can really go way off, with one thing or another.
Well, we've got a $4.4 million project that goes all the way to the river, so we want to make sure that it matches.
Correct.
So that's
absolutely.
important. And right now, there's no coordination with the design.
I don't think that's true because I know that there was
I spoke with Nathan Pruitt right before this meeting, and that's what he told me.
Well, I will double check with him because we actually had an exchange yesterday and he met with the city engineer last week, but we certainly want to make sure that he is in the loop, so we'll talk to him tomorrow and make sure he feels like that he's been brought up to date.
Well, and more than that, he needs to be an intricate part of the design because we spend a lot of money making sure that we have a seamless corridor. So we don't want a situation where people are like, well, what's going on here?
Okay.
I think that's planned with Andy, because I did have a conversation with Andy on Friday, after having a conversation with Mr. Pruitt and had a conversation with you. I think we'll get there, and I think it is important that everything is working uniformly and all within that plan, so I appreciate that, if you would follow up with him.
So,
And I just wanted to reiterate that I know that this got moved up on you, but it wasn't because of anything trying to get this project. It's all because I went to the sewer board meeting, and I just want to confirm what Lynn spoke to me directly and did say that he put this on the do it now list if this can't wait. So I know that there probably would have been more conversations, what I gathered with Andy, because Andy's just trying to scramble to get everything ready for the redevelopment meeting and for this meeting tonight because of the shape of the sewer, so that I understand that everything kind of went real quick.
Exactly.
I appreciate all your work on it, but...
But do you think we cannot have a temporary median there until the entire project is done, so it's done properly?
I'm gonna leave that up to
No.
our department heads to talk about, or with,
Yeah.
We can't because the irrigation and the electric would need to be installed before they get backed up to grade. Otherwise, we're wasting money. We would be doing things twice. We intend to have,
I didn't mean installing irrigation.
pardon me?
I didn't say install irrigation, something,
But-
a temporary.
But that's what I'm saying. See, they're excavating to get rid of the sewer. Well, at the end of the excavation, they're going to bring it back up to grade.
Right.
As they bring it back up to grade, they will be installing the new irrigation and electric.
If the project moves forward.
Correct.
Right. Otherwise, they're just going to pave it.
Otherwise, we have no medians at all.
Right.
And, well, we'll have a median between Pearl and Spring.
I thought it was-
Temporarily.
Fairly confident they're going to put medians back. So,
I mean, and you already went to redevelopment, the mayor's 100% of what,
The mayor has been supportive of this from the beginning, and we've talked to him extensively, and he keeps saying, let's figure out how to make this happen. Let's figure out how to make this happen. This is a big, and, I've got a couple of the volunteers here tonight who work very hard on this, but I think it's a good opportunity to stress to everyone I realize that it's everyone's median, but we have people who started out carrying 5-gallon buckets of water up and down Court Avenue every night out of the summer, 5 nights a week in the hot sun for the last 14 years. And if there's anyone who knows the ins and outs and problems and what needs to be done about these medians, it's City Pride. And so we are trying really hard and trying for free to make something work. Absolutely, it was not our intent. We are planners. We intended to have this on a slower track, but we're also, when we find out that something have to happen tomorrow, we have a lot of our people who have taken a lot of time over the last 6 weeks getting something to make sure that it works and to have, okay, we're going to be ready for this.
right, and that's what I
Well,
said, none of us were
we
planning
appreciate all the
for it.
work they do, but we don't want to rush doing something. We don't have to. The work that City Pride does is very much appreciated. But we also don't want to make a mistake and have something that's not a seamless design. And it's my information that the design coordination is not taking place.
We'll talk to Nathan Pruitt.
So I think it's important that we get it done right, because it's a struggle just to get one phase done of this project, so of the Spring Street Master Plan project. So we're about to spend $500,000 designing the entire project. Maybe this should be a part of that. So if we can get that done to make sure, to the best extent possible, make sure that it's going to have the same character, then I think that's important. And that coordination has not been taking place. And that doesn't fault the efforts of the volunteers. We very much appreciate everything they do. But I want to make sure that we don't rush into something. We fixed the alley that was supposedly flooding. It was supposed to be done in a week, and it took 3 months and damaged somebody's building. So we want to make sure we do things right, and make sure we have all our bases covered. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's, alley is not one of my projects. And if it means there is nothing that has changed from planter design to surface finish to light style that has changed since Nathan Pruitt saw this. And if it means that we just need to show it to him again, then I'm more than happy to do that.
Well, like I said, I think it was because of the conditions that the sewer was in is why this has been fast-tracked. I don't think nobody wants to miss a step and they want it done right, so I'm sure you will have those meetings and it'll be fine.
So in the interest of moving this forward, so the proposed was from council projects, is that correct?
5,000, correct.
5,000 from council project. I make a motion to appropriate 5,000 from council projects for this Court Avenue median project.
Would you be willing to make that contingent upon planning's approval?
I have faith in Peggy that she's going to talk with Nathan tomorrow,
Well,
but
I got a
don't think
motion and a second.
We can
Wait,
make that-
wait.
She's
I got a
not
motion, wait, I got a motion.
Oh, there's already a second on the motion.
I got a motion, a second on the motion. Let me ask for further comment or conversation for her motion, and then we can have this conversation. So I got a motion and a second. So now, is there any further comment or discussion? Now that you can do that within that, but I think you wanted,
I'm pretty sure the administration would be supportive if it was contingent on planning and zoning's approval.
I don't think the whole project is going to weigh on this $5,000. I think the commitment is already there to see it through.
So you think redevelopment also contingent on making sure that planning is involved in
Redevelopment
design?
committed up to $200,000 for the project. There were no contingencies.
Okay.
So I think the ball's rolling too far down the hill.
I think we have made it clear that our intent is for the design integrity of our downtown to match, especially with all these upcoming projects, and I certainly don't think Peggy wants it to be mismatched, so she's going to make the effort to talk to Nathan, and we can follow up on that if there's an issue.
okay, so all those,
My original motion.
thank you. All those in
Yeah.
favor I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
I know
I'll say something. Peggy, I commend you for your staying power. I was street commissioner when you first started City Pride, and there was a lot of work that I had to do being street commissioner along with you at that time, and you've stayed and you've done a good job.
Thank you. There's a lot of Irish stubbornness that goes into that.
The only contingency that I asked for afterwards, I told her that we needed to try to get the railroad tracks pulled up for an art piece for the art commission to do. So I don't know if that was able to get done, but
We can make it look beautiful.
All right. We will move on. I think we're still waiting for Heather to come back, so we will move on to, do we have a city council attorney report tonight?
There's none.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any department heads? Okay, was there anybody that signed up for public comment? All right, well, we can go through.
Actually, there is.
There is? Oh, okay. I will start with the council comments, but can somebody please text Heather and see if she's close?
I'll text her.
If I could, I just wanted to give the council a little update.
Okay, thank you.
At the next meeting, I will be presenting an ordinance. We've been working on it. This is an issue that's gone on for a couple of years regarding the hate cutting road work on the streets.
Oh, thank you.
So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
we'll have that for council.
Thank you. Okay, I will, all right, you're going to text her?
Yeah, text her.
Okay.
She's not going to answer that.
Oh, okay.
I can run up.
Okay.
She may answer.
Council comments, Councilperson White,
I reserve my comments to after the budget.
after the budget, okay? Councilperson Ed.
Mr. Merkley, question about dead trees.
Yes.
And neighbor yards and the ordinances and city responsibility, not responsibility. I had a constituent whose neighbor's tree was dead or dying, and branches were falling on their property, on the neighbor's property, and they're wondering what can they do, because the neighbor was not being neighborly in helping solve the safety concerns that the neighbor had. So with that, I passed it on to our attorney.
Yeah, and I have to, I thought I emailed that to Andy and to Clark, and I was looking at my outbox today, for some reason it didn't go through. So I will get, we email it today, and I will give it tomorrow. Actually, I'll turn what the issue is. But as I mentioned to you, I mean, if a person has a dead tree on their property and it goes over on someone else's property, and even if it's right away, they're still going to be responsible for damage. If they don't get it back, who paid me?
What, the concern is,
Now, we used to have, we used to have a tree,
Most honest answer I've ever heard.
ordinance, tree board and ordinance. But I don't know whatever,
The tree board was done away with in 2012.
there used to be an ordinance.
I know that much.
that actually dealt with
Yeah, tree board?
these issues.
did.
Wow.
Yeah, the concern is they don't want to wait till somebody gets injured or property gets damaged, right? They
So the
see it.
person,
they-
the
they
person
think it's
who
imminent.
is concerned needs to put the person on notice that has the tree that they're fearful that it is a danger to the public. Unless they're on notice, then they
Well,
can.
They noticed me and then I noticed
Kind of like you develop,
Mr.
you
Merkel.
develop the fence. Well, I think the issue is.
I am just one of many though, so.
Steps from the city. Now, obviously, if it's a public right of way.
Oh, okay. So you'll fall back, yeah, okay. That's all I have.
We can't go on private property.
Right.
If it's over in the public right of way, you'll see a lot of times utility companies, especially the electric companies, will go through and trim back all the trees. And do you remember that one mayor that went on private property without the authority?
It cost a little bit, I remember that.
What was that story again?
It was a whole building. And
I was young, I can't remember.
The whole building and just got torn down.
That's all I have, thank you.
Councilperson Yon, fresh back from the AIM conference.
Yeah. So I have a whole bunch of goodies from the conference. A couple of workshops, some better than others, but all in all, a great experience. And one of my main takeaways from the event was really about marketing Jeffersonville and how we are advertising all of the wonderful things that our city has to offer. And the answer is we're doing that a little bit, but we certainly could be doing a whole lot more. And to start with, I think we really are doing ourselves a disservice not applying for some of these awards and recognitions for the conference. We have a lot of amazing projects, and so that's personally something that I want to look into for the next conference because I know we deserve recognition for all of our hard work. But in addition to that, the city of Evansville has undergone a comprehensive marketing platform that has been in the works for about 3 years now. They've spent close to $3 million of private investment and funding into marketing the city with really the business community and a lot of nonprofit organizations and the Tourism Bureau, and all of these groups have been involved in determining how they want to brand the city and move forward. So I talked with the consultant about some of the work that they've done, and I think we can do something similar in Jeffersonville. Again, that's private investment, but that is really incorporating all elements of our city and what we have to offer. So that's kind of my thoughts and my project for next year. That would be that was really my key takeaway. But I'll send out some other good information, and I can send the presentations that I attended and all of that. But that's all I have.
Councilperson Maples, let me be first to offer my condolences of loss to grandpa.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thanks. No comment.
Councilperson Hawkins.
I have a few, since we have a minute, I have a few things. Les, don't mean to put you on the spot. I usually like to try to give you a warning beforehand, but this ongoing issue, where do we stand, if it's anywhere different, with this cable company in Crystal Springs and attempting to get them to do what they're supposed to do? We have a contact person now with the cable company. Unfortunately, they're not local, but... Okay, good. So I can tell them something. Okay. I also went on a trip a little more exotic than Evansville, but I went to a conference, Big Ideas for Small Cities, and I was very excited about this. I'm sad to report that the conference did not live up to my internal hype. Come to find out, the 4 cities that were kind of leading the symposium were where Facebook is headquartered, where Google is, where Hewlett-Packard, and somewhere, I can't remember the other town. I don't remember the names of the towns. I just remember and so they were dealing with issues like, hey, we're going to all electric or driverless cars in the next 3 years. Like, it was very much over the head of what I was hoping for. So I wish I had stuff to give you, but I really don't. And the last thing is, and Ms. Yon and I were talking about this before, I don't know the quote escapes me, but this budget process that we just went through reminds me of this amorphous quote that you don't want to see how the sausage is made, you just want to have the sausage, right? Like, I don't know exactly how that goes.
that was not a pretty or fun process, and I don't like all of it, but I don't think anybody up here likes all of it, and I think that's how you get things done. And I think so I am glad with the final product, and I'm glad that it's over, and thank everybody.
Almost over.
Almost.
Got to vote on it.
It hasn't passed.
That's it. That was my three.
Councilperson Owen.
I echo the comments about the budget process. I don't think anybody is fully satisfied, but here we are. I think we've got something that's passable. I appreciate bearing with me on the merit-based raises and keeping that system in place, and then also replenishing the police department's overtime. I think that's important. Also, just a reminder, October the 30th will be Trick or Treat downtown. The Parks Department is putting that on at Big Four Station. It is presented by Kelly Services this year. We always try to have a name sponsor for that event. In case any of your neighborhoods ask, the city recognizes Halloween or trick-or-treating on Halloween, no matter what day it is. It's always the 31st, and it's always from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then also on the 28th, we will be having at the field house to benefit Save the Field House, a craft bazaar, as well as, is it the chili cook-off, Bill? Between the police department and the fire department, they're going to have a chili cook-off, and that'll be during the craft bazaar, I believe. And then we'll have a concert that evening. I'm sorry?
The Juice Box Heroes.
The Juice Box Heroes that evening for a Monster Bash. So it should be a great, fun-filled day at the field house. We hope everybody comes and spends lots of money.
Now, did you say that trick-or-treating for kids just to go door to door is on the 31st?
Yes.
But the thing that's at Big Four is
On the 30th.
Monday?
Yes. It's always
And
the Monday.
what are the hours on?
That's from 6 to 8. That's always the Monday before Halloween. That's all.
Do we have a goal total yet on what's been raised so far for the field house? Or then if you get that, can you, maybe next meeting, I don't want to put you on the spot, but...
We're at 1.45 million, I believe. Or just north of that now.
We're closer to 1.4.
1.4?
Awesome.
Well, Matt hadn't written his check yet, so.
Yeah.
There's several contributions that we, I think this is usually a press release what I'm pulling today from First Aid Bank, so there's a couple of them like that.
Okay.
Donors waiting to do press releases.
Gotcha.
Great. Thank you. Is that all you have?
Inching closer. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Councilperson Ellis.
I'm going to go back to the budget process, and the first thing that I'd like to say is I think we have done a great disservice to some of the people that work for the city of Jeff by using evaluations to give them a raise. I've been in that evaluation process when I was a department head, and it actually created more dissension among the employees than anything. And by not looking at the people that's on the lower end of the totem pole sometimes and giving them a fair share of what they work for, I think we really don't show them that we appreciate them. So that was one of the reasons that I was in favor of a 3% across the board for everyone, and not a 3% and then you give all the money to the department heads. And I will always stand up for the people at the lower end of the totem pole when it comes to them being paid, because they deserve, especially since they are the ones that do the work in the city. I think they deserve a fair share. And there is an organization called the Silver Heights Camp and Youth Retreat Center. The Silver Heights Camp and Youth Retreat Center it's on Silver Hills. It's actually on Cap Avenue in New Albany. The old camp has been there since 1894. Well, there are a group of people now that have taken over and organized and has made that into a place to where children are our primary concern. every year, the second year of June, we scholarship children to come up to the camp for a week. They're fed, they have time to play, they're taken off camp in conjunction with the YMCA, and they do a lot of good. Those children that come to that, and it is for children from the age of 13 to 18, from the 7th to the 12th grade. We're having a Christmas party this year, actually a Christmas dinner. And the cost of a table at the Christmas dinner is, a table of 8 is $280. And I would like to ask the council to buy a table for that organization this year. And all the money goes towards sponsoring those children. And if anyone would like to go up to the camp one day and see what we have up there, we have a huge center called the Parnell Center that will seat about 200 people. We also have some cabins. We get funding from COSAIR and any other organization that we can convince of the need that we have to support our children. And so I think it's a very worthwhile cause, and I'd hope the council would participate by buying a table of 8.
I'll second that motion.
Was that a motion?
Yep, I'd like to make that in the form of a motion.
Okay.
Do we
So,
want to specify where it's coming from?
Special projects, council special projects.
so I got a motion, a
Question.
second to,
Go ahead, finish your.
I'll say, I got a motion, a second on the floor. Motion and a second to buy a table for, did you say 280 for the Christmas dinner?
Yes.
Coming out of special projects. Any further discussion?
Just want to clarify, kids from Jeff can.
Kids from all around. It's not just kids from New Albany. It's kids from Jeff, kids from Louisville, kids from any of the surrounding towns.
Thank you.
And when you have, depending on what the vote is, if the vote passes, you need to have something to submit to Vicki, a program or something.
I'll have
to submit with
the
claim.
directors.
Any other further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Did you have anything further?
No, that's all I have.
Councilperson Samuel, welcome back from your trip.
Thank you. Seems like some council members went to different conferences. I got to go see my granddaughter and down in Atlanta, so I had a great time. I would love to give a full report, but I will not. So I have no comment.
Time for it.
Well, I personally want to thank you because you are vice president of this council, and I know even today you and I have had plenty of council going to department heads or the mayor, especially on this budget, and I know you were traveling on your way back, but you still took that time. You did not, didn't see the crew was calling and hang up, and appreciate all that. I really do. I've got quite a few things. It looks like she's not back here, so I'll run through them. For anybody in your districts, if you've had neighborhoods requesting lights, which it does with Oak Park, I think, keeping up with Andy and with Bill on that. And the situation is, just so you can take it back to your districts that they've been waiting, Duke, usually the employee or the supervisor, whoever that deals with all of this, she got a promotion. So she's really been dealing with, we had the 10th Street project, and I think there's folks that got stuff going on in River Ridge. But it's the understanding that they told Bill Dixon with engineering that they're going to hire another employee that'll be there, that'll probably be more responsive to the needs of the city. So that's my understanding. So hopefully that's in the process now, that you can just relay back to any of those requests that you're not forgotten, you're still on the list, the work orders are there, we're just waiting for that employee to be hired. Matt did bring up Trick or Treat Downtown. I was going to bring that up because I was approached by Sarah while I was in the city building, and she wanted to know if City Council wanted to have a table this year to give out candy.
I was going to add an addendum to my comments about that. So last year, I decorated the table and all that for council. I'm happy to do that again this year. I don't know if I can be there from 6 to 8, but I will happily show up and decorate our table and
I'll definitely...
we will donate some candy and stuff. I'd be happy to do that again.
Thank you for that, and I'll definitely be there the whole time to help. And I did request, because, you know, if we have it to where a certain councils, I know if you got court, or if you've got to work, or if you got certain times that you can or cannot be there, that we have a table that's close to public safety or the mayor's office or whatever, we can kind of fill in cover for each table. So we always would have some sort of representation. So I appreciate that, and just get some candy to you or to me, neither one, doesn't matter. But if you, do you still have decorations from last year?
I have some, but I'll probably make it themed. So, I don't know. We'll think of something.
If you need
It'll be
anything,
fun.
just put out an email, and we'll get that taken care
I
of.
love Halloween. This is great.
Council pictures are in. The clerk and myself will be getting with Larry here shortly to get the newest ones up, and we still want back there to get that all arranged. So you do have your copy of the picture, which is in the clerk's office. If you all could pick that up tonight, that would be appreciated. They turned out really nice. As you all remember, back when you seen all the proofs, it's just been a while. We had some issues with getting names right and all that, so we finally got that all taken care of. And I was privileged to, along with Nathan and Councilperson Ellis, we went to the Mr. P's 30th anniversary and up there in River Ridge, and we did have some great representation. Got to speak from both council members, and they did say that, you know, full council would love to be at all these events, but, you know, we got obligations, you got to work or whatever. So Mr. P was there, and he actually expanded back when I was on drainage board at a time when the economy, everybody else was folding in or what. He did his expansion when the economy wasn't dictating for that, and was looked at like, are you crazy? So he really was dedicated to the city of Jeff. He had a really good vision and a good business plan in place, and they're thriving. So if you do see him out, or if you can drop an email or something, wish him a happy 30th anniversary, I think he'd greatly appreciate that. And I was, as you all know, Joe Olson sent out an email in which he said it's very imperative, in which I think we all agree, as you all know, the health care renewal is it's all based on our claims, to monitor those claims. So I have a couple of workshops here that have been requested. One was from him, it was December 4th at 5:30. Another one was requested by Nathan Pruitt and Paul Northam, both together, to see if before 5:30, before November 6th meeting, that we could have meet and go by trolley. They would like for us to go up to Vissing Park. They have some things that they want to show us, and they would really appreciate our time. We can either ride a trolley up there, or you can meet up at Vissing Park. But that'd be, they requested November 6th at 5:30 for that one. And of course, the one for, to start monitoring claims and reviewing claims is December 4th at 5:30 before our council meeting. Do those two dates work? You got any questions or comments? Yay, let's do it. No, let's not do it. It's
November the 6th and
December 4th.
What time did you say for November 6th?
What?
time change.
There's a time change?
5:30 will be dark by 5:30.
Oh, okay.
Of city issue
For?
headlights.
A workshop?
Well, it's basically, they were calling it a work, they want to show us a few things up at Vissing Park, and they
You're going to
felt
show it to you in the dark.
they're going to show, well, that's a very good point. So you know what, let me, I will send an email. Well, Nathan Pruitt requested it along with Paul Northam, but it's coming from Nathan Pruitt because he's got a couple projects that he's kind of leading, and would like to discuss that with us.
That
Let
might be
me-
a better lunch.
We cut it.
A lunch, huh?
Nothing.
Don't want to do lunch?
Lunch
But I'll
break.
send an email out and see if there's another time. I'm glad you did bring that up because the time changed. Les is on it tonight, so I appreciate you, Les. I will get it back to you on that. But what about the December 4th at 5:30? for,
Sunday, I do know that. Time changes November 5th. All by.
Spring ahead, fall behind.
All by.
And with that note,
well, we got to decide on the December 4th, 5:31 before we,
that works for
does that work for everybody? So will you go ahead and at least advertise that one, and I'll include you on the email? Or... No, the December 4th at 5:30 will be right here. We're got a schedule, I don't know what time or whatever, for December 4th at 5:30 with Joe Olson. Did you get me a copy?
We're sharing apparently.
Oh. Share for now, and then it's now. That's okay. Okay, let me go through this real quick. Yeah, I think I brought up everything in my comments. So we will refer back to Heather on the budget, which is 2017 OR 68. Woo! Yes.
Ain't nothing going.
all right, guys, I'd like to throw out the whole thing.
So what we just did was to put the 411 accounts back to what they're currently getting paid. The difference that was in there, we threw down into the performance increase pool, so as a whole, that was a net zero. Then we went to police and took out some of their accounts for supplies up to, we got it to $100,060.
Good job.
Added the $100,060 to their overtime. So that was a net zero. Moved $100,000 to Lowit, so that increased the Lowit in supplies for police by $100,000. Okay, everybody good? Then the health insurance, we brought it down to 6.5, which was a savings of $300,000, adjusted the revenue by $220.
Yep.
So that's what we just did.
Okay.
Everything else is exactly the same.
And we're sure that that 3% figure is good.
I hope so. I went off of what they actually are getting paid currently right now.
Okay.
Based on your projections, it's revenue neutral or surplus?
I miscalculated a little bit on that 8,008, or that was really 88,000, because it's
That's what I thought you said.
what you
at
thought,
first.
yes, because it's 300 added to, or taken off of the health insurance and added 220 to revenues, yes.
So repeat that number one more time.
It's around $88,000.
Okay.
In the black, on the general fund,
With conservative numbers.
yes.
Appreciate all your work on this.
And I believe it's somewhere around 80,000 on the Lowit, because that was at 180 something,
Okay.
whatever that number was. Yes.
All right. Is there any other questions that we have for Heather before we go on to entertain a motion and get this, get votes up, votes down, whatever? Is there any other questions for Heather? Okay.
The second and the third, right?
Yes.
We have to make a motion.
We have to amend, remember.
I was just more curious.
Do I have a motion to amend 2017 OR 60, what is it, 8?
68.
Make a motion to amend the budget passed on the first reading to reflect the changes made in the previous special meeting.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Now I will take a motion,
Adjourn.
no, we have to approve the amended budget.
Nathan?
And nobody can leave without signing. Whether you vote for it, It's very important. She's got to get this.
Show up on our doorstep.
Don't sign anything until we make the motion.
Have for me with redevelopment.
Okay.
What ordinance number is this? I'm sorry.
68.
68. Motion to approve 2017 OR 68 as amended.
Third final.
Second and third.
For the second and third.
I'll second.
Got a motion, second, to pass the 2017 OR 68 on the second and third and final reading. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Can I
Thank you
applaud?
all. Now, make sure you sign.
Yeah, I'll do a nay.
Yes. Yes.
Was it just from?
Motion to adjourn?
I will take a motion to adjourn, but nobody leave before signing.
I have,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Withdraw.
Watch out.
I appreciate it. I just-
It wasn't matter what, it was.
Well, I'm glad we got the budget done. You're right, the sausage is never pretty while you're making it. I've literally made sausage before from a pig killing, so
Likewise.
it's really not pretty. And what we went through is kind of like that, yeah. But I am happy that we arrived at a surplus budget, and I agree with Mr. Ellis, Councilman Ellis, in that I hope that we engage in a future conversation where we can find a way to appropriately pay the men and women who are out every day taking care of us and taking care of the people we represent. They do a hard job in the rain, at midnight, when we drive around and see that the storm drains backed up, and they're out there cleaning it up 5 minutes later. So I'm very open to making sure that they are being paid a appropriate living wage, and a wage that we can afford, a wage that they deserve. Went to Denver for my vacation, and went to a maker fair, which we have the Maker 13 in the Arts and Cultural District, and it was a big, giant conference hall full of that kind of stuff. And it was pretty cool. They had robots, the robot wars and stuff like that. I don't know if we do that around here, but it was pretty cool and opened my eyes to what the Arts and Cultural District can become, especially with all the partners. That was one thing I took away, was that it had lots of partners that contributed to the success of the art culture. Now I realize Denver is a capital city, so hopefully we'll get to doing what they're doing there, but to scale. Other than that, look forward to, did I miss something? Oh, all right.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, second.
Okay.